Welcome to episode 1 of the Q&A show. My name is Dave Drees. I am with
Scott Emick.
And we are here to answer your health, fitness, and nutrition questions. All right, so here's how this is going to work. You guys are going to ask us questions. We're going to answer these questions to the best of our abilities. As we get farther along and more episodes are created, we're going to have a nice little database of Q&A questions for this show. So, my dude Scott is going to pull up some questions on his phone.
Yeah, I've got a few of them here. I just let me pick out one here from Kelly.
Kelly. How many Kellys do you know?
What? I know a few Kellys.
Okay.
How many Kellys do you know?
A handful.
Handful. Well, I'm not going to give their last name, but Kelly asks this question. Yeah. I don't know why. Kelly says, I'm eating healthy but struggling to lose weight. What gives? It's a broad question, but I think start it off.
I mean, it's a good question. I hear that a lot at the gym. I mean, you hear it at the gym too from some of the members when you're there. Well, I think it comes down to you have to kind of know what it is that you're intaking in order to make adjustments to lose weight. So we've talked about it before, how important I think it is to understand what macronutrients are. Real quick here too, we got our third partner in crime, our man Chris.
Rice is in the house.
Hiding back behind the camera, but he brought up a good point because we were talking about this earlier today. He doesn't really understand fully what macros are. So I think this is actually a really good question to start out with episode 1. You have to understand what macronutrients are. That's your proteins, carbs, and fats. You're going to eat food on a daily basis, hourly basis, and every time you eat something, you're going to have some sort of macro profile. So if you were to have
macro profile,
like a piece of pizza is going to have proteins, carbs, and fats within that meal.
You mean within that meal.
So
okay,
your
gotcha.
profile is going to include, however many number of carbs, proteins, and fats. Well, what tends to happen is a lot of people don't understand or fully grasp how much they're currently eating, like on a daily basis. If you don't understand that number and you're trying to lose weight, do you just eat less?
Well, so basically what you're saying is step 1 is people don't know how much food they're eating on a daily basis.
100%. And then on top of it, I should link it up here. There's a study that says that people underestimate what they eat by 10 to 40%. I would even bet 40% is on the high end.
Which is huge.
Where the 40% is where most people are versus the 10%. Which if you're trying to lose weight and you're consuming 40% more than what you're supposed to try to lose weight, you stand no chance.
So I know when I first came into the gym, one of the first things you had me do is download an app. And there are a lot of apps out there.
MyFitnessPal is usually, there's a handful, but MyFitnessPal has one of the better databases on there that allows you to kind of track food. You do always want to kind of double check, with some of the things that have been entered on there because they're not always accurate. But ultimately, I do think that you have to have that starting point to have a fully understanding of what it is that you are currently consuming. And I don't want to get too far into breaking down proteins, carbs, and fats in this one just because it could go down a whole different rabbit hole.
Yeah, 35-minute.
For every gram of protein, it's going to be 4 calories. For every gram of carbs, 4 calories. For every gram of fat, you got 9 calories. If you're eating 100 grams of protein in one day, that's essentially 400 calories. 100 grams of carbs is essentially 400 calories. If you were just to hypothetically eat 100 grams of fat, that would be 900 calories. You add all of those up, you're going to get 1,700 calories for that day. So, when you can kind of, move that around so it's advantageous from more of a physique or figure standpoint, maybe a little bit higher protein, vary with the carbs and vary with the fat, you then start to create the ability to, understand what you're currently eating, but then alter for physique or figure purposes.
We should probably talk about those tweaks in a separate Q&A.
Yeah, I mean, those tweaks, it just depends on how your body's reacting to currently, what you're eating, over the course of a little bit of time so that you have an understanding of what your body's doing. So tracking macros and adjusting every single day isn't really smart. You got to kind of see how your body's adapting to your current intake. But getting back to the question at hand, if you don't know what it is that you're consuming, it becomes very difficult. So the best piece of advice that I would have for that is take an app, track everything that you're eating on a daily basis, and just take a look and see what your current caloric intake is broken down by those macronutrients.
And probably over a span of time, like you have to benchmark this a little bit. Right?
Monday through Thursday, it's fairly typical. People kind of have the same regimen. It's usually that Friday evening,
that weekend,
till
all
Sunday
hell
night.
breaks loose.
Yeah, so really track what you're consistent with, and then even track on the weekends because you will be able to see how different it is from the week to the weekend, and that can make a huge difference if you're trying to lose weight when you have 3 days of just kind of binge and crap eating. But I remember back in the day, you had to like write everything down. You had to like look at the
analog
label
style.
You had to write it down, and then you still should measure to get an idea and awareness level, but then you had to log it in the notebook, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. Now it's super simple. They try to make it as easy as possible. It should take you 2 minutes to be on an app.
Yeah, I mean, the databases, like you brought up that there's some errors in the database, but the databases are pretty solid, and the important thing is it gives you that benchmark, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so
it's
that you have a point of
you're never
going to
be. There's never going to be perfection. Even like when weighing the food, you're never going to get the perfect amount. You're never going to get, the labels might be wrong on, the packaging. There's so many different. How much you actually, when you consume something, how much you actually absorb is going to determine how much, it obviously goes into your system, but everyone's going to have different absorption, different things like that. So it's never going to be 100% accurate, but getting as close as possible is going to allow you to be able to adjust and make changes when necessary so that you can start to lose the weight if you fully understand what it is that you're consuming. So
perfect.
I think that's it. So that's episode 1. That was a very good question to start it out. The goal is to make these things fairly short. We don't want to sit here all day and have you scroll through to the end of this so that you get the results, to get the answer, I guess you should say. But we want to have a little bit of banter where we're able to really answer the question to the best of our abilities, and we want to make it enjoyable for you. So if you have more questions, feel free to drop it here below in the YouTube comment section. We're going to do the best that we can to get some banter going back and forth. But the more questions that you have, the more answers that we can provide and film. And then, same thing as always, subscribe to the YouTube page so you don't miss any updates. And, follow us on Snapchat and Facebook and stuff.
Yeah,
you got anything you
all
want to say?
that. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly. Good question, Kelly. Which Kelly is it? We don't know. There's many out there.
We can't expose the last names on the show.
Privacy issues.
Well, it's privacy, yeah.
Just
trying to maintain your privacy, Kelly.
All right, crush it.